Hello, officials, and welcome to another week of video review. This is Tyler Spear, State Coordinator of Football Officials for the Wyoming High School Activities Association. Thanks again for your time and attention as we all work to get better as we officiate football in the state of Wyoming. Just one clip to review, and we'll take a deep dive into it just so that we can really see all pieces of this. But as we get started, just a few reminders. Number one, it's 0 week, which means after this Friday, we'll have some film. Please send me film, plays, clips, whatever you might have. Love reviewing those, love visiting with you about them. And I might just use them to help us all get better. That's the goal of all these tapes, these videos, is to help us all get better as we do our very best for the schools and the athletes in Wyoming. I want to say thank you to the person who sent in this film. He contacted me via text message and said, "Hey, would you look at this clip?" And I tell you what, it takes a lot to be vulnerable in these situations because maybe we kicked something, maybe we need to get better at something. But we all get better when one of us will step into the arena and say, "Hey, I had this play. What do you think?" We talk through it, we autopsy it and go, "Ooh, maybe this, maybe that." So I would just encourage you all to feel confident that I'm not singling anybody out, any ref, any crew. We're all in this to try and get better. And as we move forward, if there are topics you'd like to have covered, perhaps, or any other feedback that you might have on these training videos or the weekly emails that they are included in, please don't hesitate to reach out. I'm eager to hear from you. My door is always open. So as we get started, like I say, we have a singular play. This is from last season. And what you see here is we have a kickoff play late in the first half. And as you can see, the score is already pretty well indicative of the type of game that we have. And so first thing I think about with these is when you have a score like this, what comes to mind? And to me, what comes to mind is in blowout situations, it's easy to try and, or I shouldn't say easy to try, that's a contradiction. It's easy to take downs off. It's easy to let our minds wander or our eyes wander. But in this situation, this is where we really need to focus our efforts because in close games, perhaps the dumb stuff doesn't come out. But in blowouts, that's when you get the attitudes, the hurt feelings, or what have you. And so we really need to actually improve and redouble our efforts in dead ball officiating when we have a score where it's pretty clear where the outcome of the game is. So, so let's go ahead and get started here. And as you can see, we have a kickoff play. This play happened after a turnover that led to a quick score. And what I want to draw your attention to is the work of this sideline official, the line judge here at the bottom of the screen. He's set up on the 50. And you're going to see action that moves down his sideline. And I'll highlight it as we go along here. So as we get started, kick formation looks good. We have 6 kicker 4, no issues there. All right, start looking at these blockers here and these blockers here as we get going. The official's looking, I can tell by his hat, maybe looking at the ball, but also looking at these oncoming defenders. And you'll see where the contact is looking. I think the official's in the right spot. Okay. I want you to watch this block here. Okay, and I'll circle back here in a second. We'll watch it live, but watch this block here. And it heads into the side zone where we have an issue, and this official comes in to address it. So just a second here. All right, I'm going to let it play live, and then we'll circle back and talk about it. So we have a block that becomes a double team. We have a coach kind of meandering. That's its own issue. But then we have kids in the side zone, and you see this official on the scoreboard kind of gets in the way. But you have this official who jumps in to take care of business here and get those opposite colors out. So a couple of the things that I think are important to emphasize here is obviously this official, I think, is looking at the right spot, sees this block. He thinks initially about, do we have potential holding here? And I think that's sharp. to think about that because it's clear that they're setting up for return left on this, right? But once it becomes a double team, I don't think we have holding anymore because double teams rarely become holds. Perhaps he could work down the field a little bit. We had talked about moving downfield a little bit on this play to be a little closer, but ultimately we have action in the bench. The play is still going on. It's about to end, but it's still going on. But what I really like here is what this official does. He leaves and gets into the bench to get these players out. You've got two visitors in enemy territory. And in that moment, one of the things we discussed was, okay, say he didn't get tackled back there and there's a return going on. What do you do? And I told this official, I said, you do exactly what you did. At this point, we have to think about priorities. And for me, priorities in this situation are player safety. So are my fellow officials on this crew going to have to maybe hustle a little bit to cover if I have to go on the bench? You betcha. But in this moment, this official did exactly what we want, which is going in there, getting in there before anything else bad can happen. I mean, this is, prime territory for cheap shots. Not saying either of these teams would do that, of course, but the indicators are there. And so this official did exactly what we would want in paying attention to this. Forget that, get in there and get those opposite colors out, get eyes on this situation. And so I would just say, this is one of those ones that's pretty rare, but really smart on this official to just go in there and take care of the issue. Obviously, he's talking with the coach. And this leads us to the next question here. And that question is what, if anything, do we have? And we talked about this for a while. To me, this official had nothing, and I support that. I think the action started in bounds. You have a little bit of momentum that drives the players into the bench. But also, if you look at this kicking team member, he's no innocent party in this. Perhaps he's doing some of the pulling in this as well. And so one of the things this official talked about is this coach in the blue who forgets what the restricted zone looks like. That's just a joke, of course, but not really. He's asking why there's not a foul there. And that's a reasonable question. But to me, if we're looking at fouls, I think if you were to throw, you go offsetting here. It's really hard to tell from when you arrive in there, seeing the whole play that it started in bounds. It'd be really hard to tell whom you're going to tag and whom you're going to not tag on this situation. So again, I'm supportive of a no call here. I'd be supportive of offsetting personal fouls as well. I just don't know that there's enough there to where you could pick on whom you're gonna throw this on. So another good thing to think about here, and this official did tell me, I said the joke in jest a little bit. This official told me that he had worked with this sideline on keeping things clear, and this guy kind of wanders. And you see the official even goes behind this coach to get at it, to get at the action out of bounds. Again, there's some context that's missing here as it relates to the sideline warning piece. Perhaps there could have been one. I think in this moment, player safety, getting number 5 and number 7 out, far more important than picking up an SW here just because we can. Other things that we can think about, again, this play ended back inside the 20, so we didn't have a lot of pressures. But again, be mindful of who's going to jump in and cover this cruise. If the kick return would have sprung, I think the back judge is just going to have to jump into duty. I don't know that the umpire is gonna get there from 80 yards away if they take this to the house. I think the back judge is just going to have to jump in and help, and we're going to have to do the best we can. Prime example of where 7 or 8 officials would be really nice, but we don't have that. So another thing this official and I talked about is this is a great opportunity to just get on the radio and say, hey, I got something, very brief, but it sets that an alert for your crewmates. We often have a code word when we use the radios. And if you hear this code word, whatever it might be, that gets everybody's attention. Why did he say that? Oh, he's got a mess, that type of a thing. So this is something that's good to pregame. Last year, we had a video where there was action out of bounds. Crossfield mechanics come into play here as well. If this would have come up the side zone, that opposite wing can also help with their best guess at where the spot would be. So all in all, this is a weird one. You don't see it often, but I would say the official from the get-go, their positioning, where their eyes are going, the way they see this double team to pass on holding, and then the way they go, oh, snap, forget the line, go in and take care of people. I think this is what we would want in this situation. Is it perfect? Not at all. But I think it's the best we can do under the circumstances. So I'd welcome your thoughts on that, but I would applaud this official for their work on that. While we've got the play up, let's just talk really briefly about free kick mechanics, okay? So before this kickoff starts, the back judge who has K's free kick line is going to peek. Doesn't have to peek very hard in this formation because you want to make sure all players are within 5 yards of the free kick line. We clearly have that here. We also have to make sure that there are at least 4 kicking team members on either side of the person who does the kicking of the ball. As you can see in this formation, we have a 6 kicker 4 situation, but we're still legal. Whose call is that? I would argue the white hat has the best angle to see if we have an issue with 6 kicker 4 or 5 kicker 5, or on the foul side, 7 kicker 3. This would be the kind of formation where you could see that peek up if that up back here decided to do an onside kick. The referee maybe has the best angle at that. Obviously, we're going to shut that down. Frankly, the kick return formation here screams onside kick because there's space. And so I think the white hat has an angle on that, but also this is the perfect opportunity for someone to be a crew saver. The line judge has R's free kick line, has it covered perfectly well. If we look down on the 30, we can see the H exactly where he needs to be with a clear sideline as well, I might add. So that's all good. The sticks are out of the way over on about the 15. No complaints there. Obviously, the U is on the 20 on the line judge side, and the R is on the goal line. That's our initial coverage here. Ready for plays blown. We start to move downfield once we have the clear kick again. Refs, I can see where you're looking by the bill of your hat on these films. So make sure you have that eye discipline and don't be watching the ball, which is super easy to do on these kick plays. Make sure you're looking at those streakers coming down your side of the field, here and here, okay? See these guys that are blocking. I mean, if we let it go a few more frames, it's pretty clear that we have a return left going on. And so this guy up here, the back judge, backside cleanup. The head linesman, backside cleanup. LJUR, we're looking at these lead blocks. The running back, the person who received the ball, they're not really capable of fouling a whole lot. So look for where you're going to have potential contact and conflict here. Obviously, you see everything kind of breaks down. There's a breakthrough. And if we don't watch the double team, if I'm the referee down here and it looks like he's looking at the returner, realistically, we should be looking at these 2 nearest kicking team members that have broken through, right? That's likely where our first action is going to come from. And we see maybe this white player here, this white player here. The head linesman's going to have a great look at that. Other than that, there's not a ton to look at on this kick play because there's not a lot of blocking on this play. But the referee, forget the returner, start looking more up here. Umpire looking through as well to see the rest of this play. And then as we get close to the tackle, that's when we can start zeroing in. The H, you can move down the field a little bit here. We want to be more fluid on kickoffs. You could be down a little further to see this. Umpire may be moving up just a little bit as the H, the R, and the U triangle this action in. And you can see we land somewhere around the 10. Little nugget here for this umpire. Umpires don't typically spot the ball. But this is one where let's not round in. That looks really sloppy. Even for an umpire, let's square off that spot and move in. It looks a lot sharper. That angle there looks pretty sloppy. So let's watch. This umpire's on the 20, and let's watch this spot one more time. Crisp mechanics build credibility. So here goes the kick, and just watch the umpire's spotting of the ball here. Easy to shuffle, scrape down. Where's progress stopped? Square off, and then come in. This banana-looking thing, just not a great look for spotting the ball. It looks more of a guess than an accurate spot. So there's the thing, the H. gets the ball off their sideline, which is great. Again, the H could have been a little further down. Sticks are starting to set up, so the H gets the ball in and goes to get the chain set up. That looks good. The U is going to obviously spot the ball. See what he does with the old rock. There it goes. The R had it. Off it goes. Great. Decent ball relay. Our wing official still cleaning up mess and is moving down into the play. Perfectly good setup here. H has got his thing set up. And within relatively short order, we have things where we need to be. Last thing here, we are at the 12, it looks like. Referee, let's hustle back. I wouldn't blow the ready just yet. You're still a little too close. The umpire's already bailed off. Umpires, let's hold this center until the referee's in position to officiate, and then the referee can scoot you back and then blow the ready for play. It takes a half a second to slow down and do that, but what we prevent are things like snap infractions, or more importantly, officials that are not in a position to officiate the play. And remember, referee, I think he gets there. Oh, don't back off of it. Referee, that's your goal line. Okay. Make sure it's 12 yards away. Feels a little cozy. Maybe get wider. But referee, that money line is yours. And so make sure we're setting up shop on that. It goes both ways. Referees in reverse goal line, back judges in goal line. We don't officiate in the middle of the end zone typically. Goal line or end line. Something to work on. One of the things I always encourage as we start a season, this is the perfect time to have a much longer, more thorough pregame. When we get into the heat of the season, it's sure easy to cut that pregame down, hit the high spots. But I would encourage you for these 0-week games, that first time out, get to the site a little earlier. Have a very thorough pregame. Cover things in depth. Cover the what-if situations. Because ultimately, it's the first game for these teams. It's our first game as well. Let's make sure we do everything we can to prepare for that first game. So again, I just want to say thank you to this crew, to this official for sending that in. What a unique play, a little bit of a head scratcher. But at the end, folks, we focus on player safety, and jumping into that side zone is exactly what we would want you to do there. And again, free kick mechanics, it's where the weird stuff happens. And so let's make sure we're preparing for the kicking game just as much as we do for scrimmage downs. So thanks for your time. I appreciate it. Stay safe out there, travel safe, slow whistles. And again, this is Tyler Spear, State Coordinator of Football Officials, signing off.